Just last month, President Ruto declared that Kenya, a major non-NATO ally, and China are co-architects of a new world order. I have to tell you that watching President Ruto with the Chinese holding hands and talking about a new world order is just stunning. After all the work and effort we've put in there, and to see him talking about a new world order, you know, the new world order was constructed by the United States and democracies, capitalist countries that are human rights loving countries.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kenya and China are not merely trade partners. We are co-architects of a new world order, one that is fair, inclusive, and sustainable.
Ladies and gentlemen, the clip that we have begun with is the clip of the US Senator James Rich as he spoke on the matter of reviewing the Kenyan status as a major non-NATO ally. Now let's get down to the story. The matter of the United States reviewing the Kenyan status as a major non-NATO ally has been a topic of discussion in the international politics for a few weeks right now, since the bill was brought into the floor of the Senate in the United States by Senator James Rich, a very high, powerful, ranked official in the United States government. Apart from Senator Rich's statement, allow me to take you back to 3 weeks ago, when the former deputy president of the Republic of Kenya, Rigathi Gachagua, was in the United States. He went ahead to call the Americans into action in acting on the matter of reviewing the status of Kenya as a major non-NATO ally. Because the moment Kenya qualified as a major non-NATO ally, there are issues that were to be put on a microscope in the Republic of Kenya. And these issues included looking at how the Kenyan government as an entity itself views matters of human rights, including the issues of extrajudicial killings in the country, kidnappings, and all that, and torture in addition to that. Now, the statements by Rigathi Gachagua were opposed by every leader in the government of the Republic of Kenya. But Kenyans also intervened in support of Rigathi Gachagua, saying that what Rigathi Gachagua is currently asking for is for accountability in the government of the Republic of Kenya. Now, allow me to remind you, today being on 7th of September, 2025, the president is expected in America on the 9th of September, where he is supposed to address the United Nations General Assembly meeting, and there he is supposed to answer for his crimes. And before that, the United States Senate, as we speak, has put President William Ruto and Kenya as a major ally to the NATO on question, and more so on notice. Now let's get down to the real story. The status of Kenya as a major non-NATO ally is something that has been a bone of contention for some time right now. The US Senator James E. Rich, a high-ranking Republican who serves as chairman of the powerful U.S. Foreign Relations Committee, proposed a bill to kickstart the process of reviewing Washington's designation of Kenya as a major non-NATO ally. Now, this is something that Kenyans were so proud of when the news came in that Kenya was announced as a major non-NATO ally in the United States. And not only that, Kenya went ahead to deploy troops in Haiti under the regime of the former US President Joe Biden. But we all knew that once President Donald Trump took over power, this status or the deployment of Kenyan troops in Haiti was something that would be questioned going forward. The senator, the conservative Republican, wants government to review the status, confirmed in June 2024 as a step to reconsidering security and economic partnership with Kenya. The bill that was presented in the Senate also calls for detailed review of Kenya's relations with the US adversaries like China, Russia, and Iran, including the relationship of key political actors with the three countries and non state armed groups. Now, here is where it plays the part. When the senator says that they want to review the relationship of the key political actors, that is China, Russia, and Iran, with the three countries and non state armed groups. When you hear non state armed groups in the Republic of Kenya, what comes in your mind is the allegations brought against President William Ruto by the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua of President William Ruto funding the Sudanese militia group called the RSF, and also the allegation by the former deputy president on President William Ruto holding a meeting with the terror group from Somalia, the Al Shabaab. Let's go forward.
Investigations will help the American Senate, not the Kenya government, because the Kenya government has not initiated any investigation. Number two, the Kenyan government cannot investigate William Ruto because those policemen work under him. And all the things he is doing of killing people and abducting people, he is doing with the very police. So there is nobody stupid enough to go and report William Ruto to the Kenyan police. Nothing at all. You need to know, the Americans want to know why you are working with Al-Shabaab. Why, when you are in Mandera, you met 3 leaders of the Al-Shabaab militia at night to discuss business with them. They want to know why.
Other issues in the proposal includes Kenya's use of U.S. security assistance and intelligence support, and whether it has been used on actions against civilians, including abductions, torture, renditions, and violence against civilians. Now, here this is something that has played a key role. Having Kenya being put on notice at this crucial time when the President of the Republic of Kenya is going to the United States, you realize Kenya has used the relationship and the use of US security assistance and intelligence support in against civilians, that is through abductions, torture, renditions, and violence against civilians. You remember what happened in the 2024 protest in the Republic of Kenya. You remember what happened in the 2025 anti-protest government and government protests, I mean. You remember what happened. A lot of young men and women were being taken away from their home due to the assistance the US offered to the Republic of Kenya on matters investigation, on matters intelligence gathering, and that is against the rules of non-NATO allies, major non-NATO allies. You don't use the assistance we offer you against your own civilians. It's like funding a regime to kill its own people. That is what the US was speaking about. Now, Senator Rich, who submitted the bill on August 1st, was following through on an issue he first raised in May while chairing a US Foreign Relations Committee hearing. At the hearing titled East Africa and the Horn at a turning point of breaking point. He said that the US needs to be clear-eyed about its partners in the region. He pointed out multiple issues such as the fact that the US role in the creation of South Sudan had only provided marginal returns on investment. A key issue, he added, was that many African countries maintain troubling ties with China. Just last month, I quote him, President Ruto declared that Kenya, a major non-NATO ally, and China are co-actors of a new world order. That's not just an alignment to China, it's allegiance, Senator Rich said at the time. Now, relying on leaders who embrace Beijing so openly is an error. It's time to reassess our relationship with Kenya and others who forge tight bonds with China. Now, here Ruto made a mistake. Ruto took on the stage and declared the relationship between Kenya and China so boldly and so publicly. Because Ruto is so blinded by the goodies that come out of China. He forgets that the relationship between Kenya and the United States also matter. Sometimes some other countries play politics under the carpet. Leaders don't have to showcase their interest or their relationship with the other countries so openly. But President William Ruto declaring his allegiance to China at a time that he knows China is in trade wars with the United States is something that caught the eyes of the United States and had the United States now take action. And now, this status that had been conferred to Kenya back in the year 2024, June, by the government then of President Joe Biden of the United States is going to be revoked or has actually been revoked because we are being told before the president steps in the United States, the status of Kenya as a major non-NATO ally is going to be revoked. But let me ask you a question. Why does it matter? Why does this matter? It was always apparent that Kenya's place in the US power matrix would be under review once President Donald Trump won the November 2024 election. Kenya's President William Ruto had allied himself closely with the then President Joe Biden, under whose term Ruto made a state visit to Washington. Kenya got the major NATO ally status, and the two created the mission to Haiti. During his first term, in the 2016-2020, President Trump's administration had engaged in some meaningful engagements with Nairobi, including a potential trade deal that was unfinished by the time he lost his re-election bid, famously insular in his view of the US place in the world. Trump has always projected a transactional image where he weighs the benefit of any engagements on a political ledger that gives him wins at home before anything else. In his second term, President Trump has sought to undergo as many Biden policies, to undo as many Biden policies as possible. In addition to other measures such as imposing tariffs on every other country in the world, allies and adversaries alike. These and Ruto's close relationships with Biden's Washington created a relative fluid, but not entirely unpredictable set of scenarios for Nairobi's future as a US ally. Now, revoking the non-major NATO ally status would not have many direct impacts on Kenya, as the designation is just a little over a year old, but it would signify a major restructuring of relationship between the two traditional allies with relatively different goals. Kenya is already reeling from many Trump policies, including the withdrawal from the Haiti mission, the closure of USAID, and the imposition of a 10% blanket tariff. But Kenya and US trade has never been significant enough for the relationship to be simply economic. Kenya and the US have mainly been securing allies, with the former providing a staging ground for US posturing in East Africa and the on, including a military installation. The latter has provided not just intelligence but also military support in the fight against Al-Shabaab and other threats. It also used aid and other forms of support to show up its soft spot in Kenya as the region's economic powerhouse. Now, what does this mean? What does it mean if we lose this status as a country? What this means is that Kenya is starting to lose its grip in the international politics and in its play as building up its status of becoming a great influence in the international politics. The president is going to the United States. Right now, we know that he is in Ethiopia. He is coming back to the country today and will fly out today, where either today or tomorrow, where he is supposed to be in the United States on 9th, because that is when the United General Assembly meeting, or the 80th UNGA meeting is supposed to happen, and President William Ruto must address the relationship between Kenya and the United States there. Not only going there to speak about climate change and whatever nuisance that he speaks about. This time round, it is gonna be tough for him, because the former Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, Rigathi Gachagua, has provided so much intel to the United States that now they have a major case to revoke the status of Kenya as a major non-NATO ally. Mtazamaji, ni hayo kwa sasa. Tell me what you think about this. Leave a comment on the comment section. See you in our next video. This is the Kenyan Daily Report.